Hi, and thanks for watching What is Story to Song? In the previous video, I explained a little bit about how I discovered story to song and just a little bit about the process. What I thought I'd do now is less talk and more demonstration and try to give you a sense of this process from start to finish with a short story becoming a short song. It can sometimes be a little bit daunting to think of a story. Participants that I work with often say, well, my stories aren't that interesting. Why would they make an interesting song? Well, I'm going to show you that it can be a very simple song from a very simple story and still be meaningful. So often what I do is I recommend to participants to just tell me about their day. So in a short version, here is my day. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining, but it was sunny. It was hot and humid and I was alone, and I was wishing that my sweetie was with me. Sometimes I love where I live and I love living alone, and sometimes I wish I didn't live alone. So that was just a short story, just a few sentences, and that's the first step in writing a song from a story. You speak the story, and then as it's being spoken, typically I, the composing guide, would be typing up all the words. I've typed up the words after making the recording, and I'm going to show you them in this next slide. So now you can see what the story looks like all typed up. It's just kind of a box of words. Not very easy to sing necessarily because there's no natural pauses. So the next step in the story to song process is to take that block of words and to shape it into what looks like a poem. So you think about how you would take in a breath, then sing as many words as is comfortable and let that breath out. So kind of breathe in, sing a line of words, breathe out, and then you hit enter. And that way it makes it a little bit easier to sing through the words for the first time. So what I would recommend that you do is, if you'd like to look at this with me and try a hand at it, you could copy and paste this story into a Word document on your computer and see all the text just as I'm looking at it on my computer, and then you could try your hand at the carriage returns stage, just hitting enter, enter, enter after each line that feels like it might be an easy line to sing. So here's what I came up with. I'm looking at the text on my computer right now, and I hit enter after morning. So I woke up this morning, enter. And I was expecting it to be raining, enter. But it was sunny, enter. It was hot and humid, enter. And I was alone, enter. And I was wishing that my sweetie was with me, enter. Sometimes I love where I live, enter. And I love living alone, enter. And sometimes I wish, enter, I didn't live alone. So in describing that process of clicking enter, or what I call carriage returns, I essentially went on to the next phase of story to song. Typically, the composing guide, which would be me, I would be asking the participant to read through their story. This, in part, is a way to ease in the participant before asking them to just sing cold turkey without a particular melody in mind or in their head. But it's also a way to start listening for a rhythm and a cadence in their voice. Are they speaking in a swing groove, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3? Is it a straight groove, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, or is it a cut time, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4? So so you can get that sense. You can also get a sense of which words or phrases might feel particularly good to sing. And it just kind of starts to give you an overall sense of the character and emotion that could potentially be in this song. So because I was saying enter after each line, I'm going to go ahead and now do a formal read-through of the story. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining, but it was sunny. It was hot and humid, and I was alone, and I was wishing that my sweetie was with me. Sometimes I love where I live, and I love living alone, and sometimes I wish I didn't live alone. So let's just look at that first line. I might be singing in a lot of, I might be speaking in a lot of different rhythms over the course of the whole story, but I want to kind of look at a few of these lines that could potentially make it into the song. I woke up this morning is a nice line, it feels good to sing, and it could be a good beginning to a story and thus a beginning of a song. So I was saying, I woke up this morning, I woke up this morning. There's an emphasis on the woe and the mo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Woke up this morning, I woke up this morning. So it sounds to me like I'm speaking in a swing groove. Doesn't mean that the final song will be in a swing, but it just starts to give me a sense of the natural rhythm that my voice is taking on. Now let's look at another line and just try to get a sense of another possible tempo. The other line that I really liked was, sometimes I love where I live, and then the line after it, and I love living alone. Actually, I just liked all 4 of those lines. Sometimes I love where I live, and I love living alone, and sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. And that last line I just changed a little bit, which is also part of the process because it's easier to say I wasn't alone than I didn't live alone. But let's take a closer look at those lines and just see if I'm singing in a certain rhythm and groove in that part of the story. So just kind of tapping out a rhythm even for the 2 lines, sometimes I love where I live and I love living alone. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I love where I live. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and I love living alone. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it looks like I'm still kind of firmly in this swing groove. It doesn't mean that the final song again will become a swing groove. It might not be appropriate for the emotion or meaning that's coming from it to be singing in a swing, but we'll just see how it goes. This is part of that process of creation and the excitement in the unknown. The next stage in creating a song from a spoken story is my personally least favorite stage. It's the sing through. This is where you just look at those words, you don't have any instrumental, no guitar playing some chords to help you try to figure out a melody. It's just you, your voice, and those words and whatever emotion is coming from inside of you. It's really important to sing through the words before sharing an instrument in the process because the instrument can really guide the melody. And I think, at least I've been learning, and it seems true, that a melody that can stand alone is stronger than one that's dependent on another instrument kind of telling you where to go. It might be more comfortable writing with the guitar, but your melody may end up stronger beginning that melodic writing without it. So I also want to note here, see how I'm procrastinating doing the sing through even in making this video? I do want to add that this is not meant to sound like a finished song. This is just the very first step in finding a true rhythm for your song and getting a sense of the words that really are feeling good to sing and sound kind of natural to be sung, and also just listening for the beginnings of possible melodies from the notes that are coming out of your voice. What people typically do, and I'm included in this, is sing in a kind of comfortable range and sing the same things over and over again where it is kind of comfortable and you're not out of your melodic comfort zone. What will often happen, and in just about every sing-through that I've experienced, either myself doing the sing-through or working as a guide with another participant, is that somewhere in that comfort zone there's a line that comes out or couple lines or one part of the story in particular that for whatever reason, maybe it has particularly deep meaning for that person, or just those words just feel so good to sing. For whatever reason, a different string of notes come out, a melodic arc, and it's typically from there that the beginnings of the melody, which will eventually become the chorus, typically, are found. Okay, so here I go. I'm doing a sing-through, and I promise you that I am not making multiple recordings to find a sing-through that I think is good enough to share on the internet. This is supposed to be rough, it's supposed to be raw. I live in a city, if there's trucks and motorcycles going by, whatever, I'm still singing. So here I go. I woke up this morning, I was expecting it to be raining, but it was sunny, it was hot and humid, and I was alone. And I was wishing that my sweetie was with me. Sometimes I love where I live, and I love living alone. And sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. I just kind of felt like repeating those last two lines because they have meaning for me and they just feel good to sing. So you see, that was really nothing special, and it's just the beginning. The finished song may end up feeling completely different. I might sing through another 3 or 4 times till I find something that I like and am happy about kind of working on to get more close to a finished product. So then the next thing would be to listen to the sing-through, and sometimes this is also painful because I'm like, oh my god, I sound so bad, I don't want to listen to this. But we listen to it, and then there's usually some lines that feel particularly good to sing. There were some that I enjoyed so much that I wanted to repeat them at the end. And think about, okay, is there a particular melodic arc, a few different notes in one line that I really liked, or are there certain words that I like singing? It's important, I think, to look for really the strongest melody in that sing-through, and that's the one to go with. There may be many really amazing melodies, especially in a long sing-through, and it can be hard to figure out which one to follow. There's no real right or wrong, it's just following the one that feels good at that moment. You could always go back to the story and the sing-through later and find another melody and maybe even write a whole different song from within that one text of spoken story. So there are different things that I liked in that. I mean, there's plenty I didn't like and that I kind of cringe when I listen to. But I like the first line, I woke up this morning, that feels pretty good to sing. And I like the line, and I was alone. And I also like those last 4 lines still. Sometimes I love where I live, and I love living alone. And that sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. I probably just changed the melody again, but I'll go back and listen and make sure that what I'm repeating is accurate. When I do this with a participant, it's important that I don't just take what they're singing and then twist it in my own mind to what I am hearing or what comes out of my mouth. It's important to really stay true to the melody that's coming from within that person. Okay, so my very favorite from the whole recording were those last 2 lines. And sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. So because that's really the strongest melody, at least for me at this moment in time, that strongest melody would really become the chorus of the song. And it also happens to be really, I think, the strongest emotion that's coming from within me, which also would make sense for that to become the chorus. I mentioned in an early video, and I'll mention again, that the chorus is meant to be a concept that a lot of people can relate to, something kind of fundamental in the human experience, so that even if the story that's coming out in the verses, those kind of the actions that are happening, are not something that you or I have experienced, we can still make a personal connection emotionally with what's happening in the chorus. And I'm just gonna take a wild guess that many people, myself not being the sole person on this planet, have times when they're lonely and wish that they didn't live alone when they are living alone, and seek companionship and community and all that good stuff. Okay, so I got through the painful part. We started with some logistics. We got the spoken story out. We shaped those words into what looked like a poem. Read through those words, got a sense of rhythm and cadence in the voice, sang through those words, and got a sense of already some words that feel good to sing. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone instead of I didn't live alone, and kind of naturally changed that. And started to identify the beginnings of a chorus in words and in melody. The next part is to physically, in that document, start moving things around so that the lyrics for verses and the lyrics for chorus start to take shape. So to do that, what I'm going to do is just literally cut and paste. I'm cutting and pasting as I'm talking. I'm copying. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. I'm cutting. I'm just doing a couple enters, and I'm placing it all by itself. Above it, I am writing chorus. So now I know the chorus is sometimes I wish I wasn't alone, so I'm changing didn't live to wasn't. And I'm just going to put in parentheses after that 2x, just so I know I'm going to repeat it. I probably won't forget, but you never know. And then, very important, I am clicking save. Typically what I do for each stage in this process is I have a separate document. So the first document I would title Spoken Story. There goes the spoken story. Do a file save as, and with the same date, whoever it is that you're working with, or if it's yourself, just your own name, carriage returns. Then do another save as, and put chorus or shaping the chorus beginnings. So that way, if you need to go back at any time, and especially if it's a longer story, you've got all those words to draw from for shaping lyrics in a longer song. Alright, so I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I started with nothing, and now there's really the beginnings of a song where there was no song before. It's also, kind of exciting. It's a little cathartic because now, rather than just feeling alone and going through my day alone, I'm sharing this with you. And that feels good. And I'm creating something meaningful that may speak to other people, and even if it doesn't, I'm getting it out from inside of me and out there, into the musical cosmos, or whatever you want to call it. So I've got my chorus, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at those words, the rest of the words in the story, and try to see if there is maybe a short verse 1 chorus and then a short verse 2. So I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. I'm going to go ahead and just put an enter after that. That seems like, okay, that's something that happened. Another thing that happened was that it was sunny and hot and humid. All right. Another thing that happened, let's see. I was wishing that my sweetie was with me, and I might take the line before it and put it after it, but I was alone. Then I have this, sometimes I love where I live, and I love living alone. Now that I'm not quite sure what to do with, so I'm just going to leave it. But right now, at least I've got, some definitive little sections, little things that kind of happened, at least in my morning, and things that I was thinking about. And then I've got my chorus, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. And of course, all of that shaping would then be a new document where you would title it perhaps Shaping Verses and Chorus, or shaping the song, something like that, so that you get the sense that you're in that next stage of really shaping the verses and the story of the song, in addition to having the chorus there. So now I have to kind of think about, well, what would be a good order for these different little verses pieces? Sometimes it's more evident than others, and I just kind of each time can be a little bit unique and challenging in its own way. Because I'm not quite sure how I want to order them, I might just kind of try singing through again and thinking about if there are words that I want to take out or shape a little bit more. I'm looking at this. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. There's a couple of things I could do there. I could delete "and I was" so that there's fewer words. So it's just, I woke up this morning expecting it to be raining. There you go. But I was just thinking that I kind of like that "I was," and I could even kind of emphasize that. "I" is a fun word to sing. "Was" feels kind of good. You could kind of linger on that. So I could do something like, "I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining." So that, might be a good way to kind of keep all of those lines in there. But what I would do is I would go after, "and I was," and hit enter after the word "was." So that way I know I'm kind of emphasizing that "I was." And that's just my particular preference. You'll kind of figure out your own way if you haven't already, and I'd be interested in hearing, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So there's a couple options for this first verse. One could be that there's kind of a second half to the first verse that does something similar in the beginning and then maybe creates a little tension in the last half of it that would lead into the chorus. The other option would be that I just do the "I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining," and then go right into the chorus. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone, and then go to the "it was sunny, it was hot and humid," blah, 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 and then go into the chorus. And again, this is a shorter story, so it could be that simple. It could just be a really short song that way. So I think what I want to do, I'm looking at, these potential verses, these little kind of phrases that are separate, but in some way can be shaped and moved around, kind of like a puzzle, to tell this story in a way that feels good to sing and makes sense to the audience listening to the song. So I've got this: "I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining." I could say something after that like, "wishing that my sweetie was with me, but I was alone." Right? And that would then lead right into the chorus. "Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone." And the way that I could kind of shape the melody for that would be, I've got this first melody already. "I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining." And then I could start with something similar, but then create maybe a little bit of tension to sort of lead into the chorus that would kind of bring us back to the, kind of foundation of the song and create some resolution. So let me think about that. Okay, how about something like, "and I was wishing that my sweetie was with me. I was alone." No, that's horrible. I'm thinking that maybe I might just keep that one line, "I was wishing that my sweetie was with me," and that would lead right into the chorus, the idea that, I wish I wasn't alone. So something like, "I was wishing that my sweetie was with me. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone." So now you've got it, right? I woke up and I'm expecting it to be bad weather and it's nice, but I'm still feeling kind of lonely because my sweetie's not with me, and I wish that I wasn't alone, Sometimes, even when it's sunny, I still wish that I wasn't alone. So now we've got a first verse and we've got a chorus, and I think we have a second verse and a chorus. We've got this: "It was sunny and the air was hot and humid," and I'm gonna change it just to match that first melody so that it's singable, and basically they're exactly the same for consistency. You want people to kind of, once they've heard the first verse and the chorus, feel like, okay, I get it, I get the melody, I get kind of the gist of the story, I want to be able to sing along. So you don't want to switch it up on them too much. So how about it was sunny, the air was hot and heavy and humid. I added and heavy because I needed, a few more syllables to match expecting it to be raining. And then I've got this line, sometimes I love where I live and I love living alone, which can match I was wishing that my sweetie was with me, but I might have to sing it a little bit faster. There's a lot more words in there. So I either have to sing it faster or I have to add more pauses to that earlier line in the first verse. So sometimes I love where I live and I love living alone. And sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. So I think I can kind of manage singing those words faster, but I'm realizing that there's a lot of repeat. I say love twice, I have lived twice, and maybe that could diversify just a little bit. I mean, they're good words, they feel good to sing, but maybe I could say something like, sometimes I love where I live and I don't mind being alone, which is true, but in general, I wish I wasn't alone, right? So sometimes I love where I live and I don't mind being alone. Still a little bit long, but the don't mind gives you an opportunity for maybe a little bit more groove or a change. And then you go back into that last chorus. To trim it down even further and get rid of a little redundancy, I think I'm going to be crazy or bold and just take out that sometimes. So it's just, I love where I live and I don't mind being alone, but sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone, right? So it's showing that juxtapositioning, between the rain and the sun, being lonely and being okay with being lonely. But at the end of the day, kind of wishing I had that company. So I'm going to sing the whole thing through. Are you ready? Here I go. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. I was wishing that my sweetie was with me. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. It was sunny, the air was hot and heavy and humid. I love where I live and I don't mind being alone. But sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Okay, so I obviously sang, kind of the last part of each verse a little bit different, but, cut me a little slack here because I'm just sort of singing it cold turkey. But you get kind of the idea. I mean, it's starting to become a song. The chorus feels singable. Maybe you were even singing it with me, I hope. This is the point where now I might go ahead and figure out what key I'm in and then pick up the ukulele. What do you think? Should we get some ukulele? Let's get an instrument in there. So bringing in the ukulele means that now I have to figure out what key I was singing in so that I know which chords might kind of fit in that song. So to do that, typically what I do is I just jump right to the chorus, and the very last word in the chorus, a note, offers some resolution. That often is the key that you're singing in. So that sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. So let's see. A, it sounds like I'm singing in A. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. So I'm singing in an A. So that means that in the A scale, the first layer of chords that you might play, and in any scale, would be 1 and 4 and 5. So that would be A, B, C, D on the 4th, and then E, 5th. So you've got 3 chords that you could start from, and it sounds like I'm singing mainly in major, but the second layer of chords could be a minor 2nd or a minor 6th, and then the third layer of chords, if you're still kind of, feeling like you're not quite hitting it, could be a minor 3rd. something that I noticed and just kind of picking up the ukulele, thinking about what key I'm singing in and chords, and just starting to strum a little bit of an A. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. So I could just stay on the A. But I noticed I'm not in a swing anymore. It's a 1-y and a 2-y and a 1-y and a 2-y and a 1. So I'm not in a swing anymore. I think I'm closer to a straight groove. 1 and 2 and 4. And so there's a stress on every other beat. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. Let's see, what would be another chord? A, B, B minor. Maybe that doesn't seem to quite fit. A, B, C, D. D could work. I was wishing that my sweetie was, let's see, E was with me. That would lead to some tension, but I don't know if I really like it. So I was wishing that my sweetie was, I kind of like with me, but that was the E. See, now that's all I can hear because I was playing that chord, but I'm not sure that that's what I want. So I'm going to think again here. Let's see, I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. I was wishing that my sweetie was with me. I guess I kind of just want to keep going. I love where I live, and I don't mind being alone. Don't mind being alone. So before I get too carried away and I let this beautiful instrument take the melody where it might want to go, I want to just try to remember what I was singing for the chorus. That sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. And figure out the chords to accompany that so that I kind of at least try to keep with what I was singing before. So I'm just going to take some of the simplest chords and see if I can kind of fit it with the basic melody that I was singing, which would just be, 1, 4, and 5. See if that fits. So we've got A. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. So remember, I'm just ending on the A, which creates a resolution. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. So there's the chorus. We've got the beginnings. Let me see if I can play the whole thing through. One more change. I'm going to change sweetie to baby. Because what song says sweetie? Come on. We want this to be like a little bit of a love song, right? So I wish my baby was with me. Got a little bit of blues in there. People can connect with that, man or woman, whatever. So sweetie is going to be baby. Okay, so now I'm being picky, and I'm thinking a little bit more deeply about this chorus where it says, sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. And I think really the message is that it's kind of like almost all the time, I don't really like living alone. And because it's my story and it's me, the participant, I kind of know that. As the composing guide, I would be trying to get a sense from the participant of what they're really feeling, even if they're trying to mask it, and try to kind of gently draw that from them. So I'm looking at this, I was wishing that my baby was with me, and decided to kind of change the words a little bit from, I love where I live and I don't mind being alone. That's not entirely true. I live in a city, it's loud, I feel out of my element a lot because I'm used to living in kind of more rural, wild places like in Alaska and the Pacific Northwest. So it's kind of like, for right now, I don't mind, but I still don't really like being alone, so I'm changing the words to, well, I don't mind where I live. but I don't like being alone. And then what I can do is repeat those 2 words, being alone, get a little tension, and then go into the chorus to get that resolution. You know, I wish I wasn't alone, I wish I wasn't alone. And then what I can do, since this is a short song, is just, you know, have that second verse about the weather. You know, it's sunny, it's hot and humid, and then go ahead and just repeat those lines. You know, I wish that my baby was with me. I don't mind where I live, but I don't like living alone. You know, something like that. And even, okay, so I just said I don't like living alone. Maybe, you know, maybe that having the live twice feels good. I don't mind where I live, and I don't like living alone. So you get those 2 words together. So sometimes that just happens. Your voice, your tongue, your throat, that inner singer in you decides. So we'll just kind of see what comes out. So already I can tell that by adding a ukulele, I'm wanting to do things differently. I start grooving in that first verse, and I want to keep singing, which may just be because the first verse was too short and it needed a little bit more time to build up tension and really set the context for the chorus. So I'm going to try just singing it through. Remember, short story, relatively short song. I woke up this morning and I was expecting it to be raining. I was wishing that my baby was with me. Well, I don't mind where I live, but I don't like being alone. Being alone. Sometimes I wish that I wasn't alone. Yeah, sometimes I wish that I wasn't alone. It was sunny, the air was hot and heavy and humid. I was wishing that my baby was with me. Well, I don't mind where I live, but I don't like living alone. Living alone. Sometimes I wish I wasn't alone. Yes, sometimes I wish that I wasn't alone. Alright, there you have it. Short song. I know that it wasn't perfect, and I even sang some of the words differently from the beginning to the end, but you can get a sense of those stages in writing a song. And then just making a quick recording, and then you've got it. You've got from start to finish all these different documents to work with, so if you need to go back to the beginning, you can. But you've got a finished song. If you'd like to, you can leave it at that. You've got the recording right there, but you can also come back. I mean, a really great song maybe only takes 20 minutes or an hour, but it could take months, and it has taken me months sometimes to kind of really find the melody that I want and the chords and the groove. So this is just a really short song that now I've got, and if I want to come back to it and make it better, I can. One other little tip, you know, in terms of just logistics, for me it helps to be very organized with all of my songs. So I create a folder, I put the date, you know, I put the name of whoever it is I'm working on, or I put my own name if it's my own song, and I put all of the documents that I create in that process inside that folder. I also, when I'm really getting down to it and figuring out lyrics and key for the song itself, I like to change my document to a landscape layout and then put 2 columns so that I can kind of see all of the song on one page, and that kind of helps just with the layout and singing it all and seeing it all together. So that's just something that works well for me, might work well for you too. So this has been the third in the What is a Story to Song series, and we're demonstrating a short story into a short song. Hope that you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your feedback and hear your songs.